Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called 10 inventions you didn't know were from Germany. I think there's a lot of German inventors, throughout history. So it doesn't surprise me that they have invented, a lot of things throughout the years, but I'm excited to learn more about them. So let's check it out and comment, like and subscribe.
Hallo und willkommen. Ich bin Meister Lenz and you're watching Get Germanized, and welcome to today's list of things you would have never guessed come from Germany. These crucial inventions are an integral part of everyday life. I'm not sure that everyone out there knows, though, that many of them actually come from Germany. So let us get through this list. Let me know in the comments below if you knew about some of these, if you didn't, which other inventions came from Germany, or which crucial inventions were made in your country of origin. First up, cars. The automobile was invented in 1886 when German inventor Carl Benz patented his Benz patent Motorwagen. Cars became commonplace in the 20th century. One of the first affordable cars was the 1908 Model T, an American car produced by the Ford Motor Company. In place number 2,
I thought Ford
gummy
invented
bears.
cars.
In the palm of your hand, a beautiful and bright bear. We all must have lots and lots of childhood memories associated with the gummy bear. A cute little colorful candy that is definitely one of a kind. In 1922, Hans Riegel invented one of Germany's most popular sweets. He was born in Bonn and founded the confectionery company Haribo, which is actually an abbreviation of his name. Hans Riegel from Bonn. Haribo.
Makes sense.
In place number 3, optical fiber technology. Manfred Börner's research and patents in the field of optical fiber technology earned him the reputation as a pioneer of optical communications. With his optical waveguide system, which is still authoritative today, Manfred Börner modulated light for the first time. That means he made it a carrier of information and thus transmitted data up to electronically. Pretty cool.
That's crazy.
His invention set off a great wave of development. So thank you very much for the fast internet, Manfred. At least now I got it.
Exactly.
In the countryside. In place.
It's crazy to think that something that everyone uses in this day and age was invented, 80 years ago before the internet.
Number 4. The coffee filter. In 1908, Dresden housewife Melita Benz seized the opportunity and wondered why her coffee was always overcooked and bitter. She wanted to eliminate the harsh flavors that come from cooking loose grounds or brewing coffee using traditional flax techniques. Benz patented the invention after realizing she could make much tastier cups by filtering out the loose bottom with a simple paper strainer. The family-owned Melita Group KG now employs around 3,300 people. Are you a coffee lover just like me? Then make sure to thank Melita for a more enjoyable brew. In place number 5, the glider. Otto Lilienthal became the first pilot in history to fly a glider in 1894, thanks to his pioneering research on artificial wings and superb craftsmanship. He was tragically killed, though, during a test flight in 1896, and the Wright brothers in the United States worked extensively on his wing design, leading to the development of powered aircraft. Would you agree with this entry to the list, or would you rather credit Leonardo da Vinci? Let me know in the comments below. In place number 6.
I think that goes to show that so many inventions, it wouldn't be possible to have created something and invent something without a million other inventors that came before you.
Another important item on our list, one of the greatest German inventions is of course the printing press. One of the earliest inventions that led to the printing of books, newspapers, magazines, and so on. When Johannes Gutenberg invented the technique of printing books in 1456, the world was in a politically difficult time. The new technique made it possible to melt and cool the metal alloy very quickly and produce a long-lasting oil ink. It was usually a viscous liquid that bonded to the metal, making it easier to transfer it to the press and paper. The press had to exert a strong pressure on the printable surface to produce text. The very first book published in Europe using the printing press was the Gutenberg Bible, also known as the 42-line Bible, Mazarin Bible, or simply B42. It marked the beginning of the Gutenberg Revolution and also the beginning of printing in Europe, bringing a wave of revolution at a time when many countries were struggling with colonization and suppression of human rights. Next up in place number 7, the radar. James Clerk Maxwell, in his seminal work on electromagnetism, first indicated that the construction of radar-like systems was possible. It was not until the early 20th century that various instruments and devices made use of electromagnetic principles, when the German scientist Christian Hülsmeyer developed a ship detection system that was primarily used to guide ships safely through the sea haze. The development of such systems, which allowed the generation of small radio energy pulses, was an important step on the way to today's radar systems. Among popular German inventions in shipping and aerospace technology, radar systems advanced rapidly during World War II and were the key element that led the Allies to success. In place number 8. Aspirin. In 1897, scientists at Bayer, a pharmaceutical and dye company, began...
I was about to say, was this founded by Bayer, as in the pharmaceutical company?
...researching acetylsalicylic acid as a less irritating substitute for common salicylate drugs, and discovered a new way to synthesize it. In 1899, Bayer named the drug aspirin and sold it around the world. The word aspirin was Bayer's brand name, not the generic name of the drug. However, Bayer's rights to the brand were lost and sold in many countries. Aspirin's popularity grew in the first half of the 20th century, leading to fierce competition from a variety of aspirin brands and products. In place number 9,
but I think the most famous
bacteriology.
One is that one.
When a dangerous cattle disease broke out throughout Europe in 1870, Robert Koch discovered that bacteria were the cause of the disease. He also succeeded in isolating the bacillus that causes tuberculosis. With these discoveries, Koch founded a new branch of science: bacteriology. Imagine where we would be today without these crucial discoveries.
Dead, probably.
Or do you think someone else would have eventually discovered it? Let me know in the comments below. In place number 10, the chip card. The idea of incorporating an integrated chip into a plastic card was first presented in the late 1960s by 2 German engineers, Helmut Gröttrup and Jürgen Detloff. In February 1967, Gröttrup filed a patent in West Germany for a counterfeit-proof identification switch based on a semiconductor device. Its primary purpose was to provide individual copy-protected keys to enable fuel dispensing at unmanned service stations. In September 1968, Helmut Gröttrup, together with Detloff as an investor, applied for further patents for this identification switch, first in Austria and in 1969 as follow-up applications in the United States, Great Britain, West Germany and other countries. By the way, here's a fun fact for all that were wondering: why isn't beer on this list? Beer was actually not invented in Germany, believe it or not. At least not in its ancient form. It is true that today's beer styles were developed mainly in Europe, especially Germany, but throughout research we now know that beer was first drunk in ancient Mesopotamia. Crazy. There are theories that beer brewing took place in the settlements of Golden Tepe, now in modern-day Iran, as early as 10,000 BC, when agriculture developed in the region.
So we've been
For the people who lived in the land between the Euphrates and Tigris rivers, beer was very important and a very important part of their diet. They called it the divine drink because of its intoxicating effect. The first solid evidence of beer making dates to the Sumerian period around 4000 BC. An archaeological dig in Mesopotamia uncovered a tablet showing villagers drinking a beverage from a bowl with straws. The archaeologists also found an ode to Ninkasi, a patron goddess of brewing. This poem also contained the oldest known recipe for making beer with barley from bread. So if you enjoyed these and this extra little fact here at the end, leave a like, subscribe and let me know which inventions you know are from Germany or which inventions came from your country that you're really proud of. Let me know in the comments below. And apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to get Germanized. Goodbye and auf Wiedersehen.
Okay, I think they're missing one invention, and it just dawned on me when I saw the logo. The pretzel! It's the pretzel, a German invention. I think they can claim that, right? I think that's my favorite German invention. And yeah, and whether or not beer, apparently it is not German, but I think probably they can claim it just because they have invented so many types of beer. But it's really funny about the beer thing, which is one of those things that I think, if someone asks you on trivia or something, where was beer invented? I would have assumed, I think it was Europe probably, and I'm going to say Germany, but apparently it isn't, which was the most shocking thing. But also, I think maybe if I start to thinking about this in a logic way, maybe not, right? I think beer has been a part of humanity, as in the human society, for so long, apparently. So we've been making drink out of barley since ever. So it's really funny. And the funniest thing about this part is that apparently there's a recipe. I would love to know, because I think obviously they have uncovered, they discovered the recipe, they probably translated. I would not want to look it up and see if, hey, can you, because I know these days everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of people brew their own beer, as in their house and in their home. I don't really understand how it works. Just supposed to do it in a bathtub or something. Probably not. It wouldn't comply with sanitary laws. But I think I would love if someone would to attempt to follow the recipe and see the ancient recipe and see how it drink and drink it. I don't know. Well, yeah, considering I'm assuming obviously take the steps to make sure this is safe. Obviously, you don't want to get any weird disease because unfermented beer. I don't really understand how the beer process works, but still, I'd be a little concerned maybe about following ancient sort of, the recipe. I don't know how they were drinking it, but hey, they made it through. I mean, that's why we're here, right? So again, maybe I would love to see a video of someone attempting, the recipe and drinking the beer and see how it tastes and how it compares to, beers in this day and age, especially because we have so many types of beer now that, I want to know how it specifically tastes like and what were they drinking back in ancient, what was it, Mesopotamia. But as for the other inventions, I think, the craziest part about this, I think it's specifically, I think aspirin, I'm going to take, that one as a really specific example, is that even, aspirin, I think is something that I don't know why I associate when someone, speaks the word aspirin. I imagine the little bottle with the Bayern logo, because I think to me it's synonym of this. So it wouldn't have occurred to me that, oh no, it was patented in other places under different names, on a different, obviously other pharmaceutical companies are making aspirin and have done aspirin. Obviously it's not a recent thing, throughout the hundreds of years. They've fabricated their own aspirin. But to me, it's such a thing that, it just dawned on me how, of course, it was Bayer, because when I think of an aspirin, I think of they even have the pill, they even have the logo, right? So it's kind of crazy. And even crazier is the fact that the logo for Bayern hasn't changed, which is, I think sometimes you see old logos, and obviously they changed a little bit because companies are they're rebranding, or I don't know, just because times change. But it's how lovely it is that no, it's just the same one, which I really like, is the original one. The other, it's that again, speaking about trivia, I would have totally lost, because the cars, I thought it was Ford that invented cars. Foolishly, now I know I'm not gonna make that mistake. I do have to check, however. It was the Benz guy, right? I was, who, if it wasn't Ford, then who, Gerard Ford, then who made cars? It was the guy, I can't remember his first name, but it was Benz, as in Mercedes-Benz, I'm going to assume, right? He didn't mention this, but I'm going to take a wild guess and assume it was the case. So Mercedes-Benz they technically invented cars. That's a wild concept to me. I think maybe that's why they are so famous. They do have very beautiful looking cars. But I think maybe, I don't know, why is that part of their whole sort of, well, maybe it is. Maybe I just do not know enough about their ads situation or their publicity. But I think they're usually, when you see a Mercedes, they're usually, I don't know, advertised as a luxury car, and obviously that's what they are. But I would also lean into, hey, we were the first, we know better, because we were the first, we were the creators of cars. So I think maybe they should lean a little bit on that. Again, maybe they have, and I'm just not that into, the brand, the particulars of the brand and the branding. But I think I would love that. Maybe they should do a video, an ad, of course, with, sort of recounting the whole history of the brand, and see how, this was the very first car, and then it transformed into this, and then into that, and that's how you come to, the 2026, 2027 model of, this sleek car, and whatever, it does all these things. But yeah, and to compare it to, but we started with this, which is kind of a, basically just a wheel and something else. It's just a carriage. But yeah, I love that. The gummy bears, I think that was also really funny. It had never occurred to me to think, oh, of course, Germany, they were created in Germany, because they're so popular, I think, everywhere else in the world that I don't know, maybe I also would have thought they were an American thing, but because, I don't know, I associate, maybe it's just candy, and I'm going to assume most candy was created in the United States, but I know that I'm off. It must have come from Europe. I know Europe also has different sorts of candy. I know some places, I think in Sweden, that's why they're very popular, and again, just candy in general, but I think I'm just very into modern thinking. Oh, sugar, candy, the United States. But probably, I know, no, I'm totally off about it. But I'm surprised that it was created, I think, around the 1920s, which I think sounds extremely recent. To me, I would have thought, I don't know, when were gummy bears invented? 1950s, I would assume, just because there was, a lot of canning, the canning situation was all the rage, and people were eating a lot of, ready to eat thing, and everything came in a can, and I don't know, I just thought it was very that, but no, apparently it's super old, which, happy to know. Now one gummy bears. The other is the coffee thing, it just made me think. Because to me, because again, you have a coffee maker these days, and if you don't have your which technically follows the same concept with the filter, only that, the filter, unless you use a reusable reusable filter, unless you do other types of coffee, obviously you have cold, French press or whatever, these days, and we have so many types of coffee, but, well, you can brew your coffee in so many types of way, but I don't know, it's just insane to me to think, okay, so before, I think it was in the 1800s, if I'm not mistaken, then how were people brewing their coffee? It's okay, so they put the obviously they had to grind them. I don't know if you got it in the store by, the powder coffee, or you had to, grind them yourself, as it is the case if you're super into coffee, not right now. So you have to do it, and then you just put the coffee, and then you just, in a cup, and then I'm going to pour boiled water, and it's going to make a mess, obviously. I'm going to have coffee, but of course it's going to be with the coffee sort of grains on top, and they're floating in the water. Well, not in the water, in this case, in the coffee. It's a really weird concept to me. So were people just drinking that? They were just raw dogging the coffee. Yeah, my coffee has a lot of, I can see the ground coffee beans, and I'm just going to drink this. I mean, well, it's going to be super bitter, though. Maybe that's why they were like, we have to use sugar. But I don't know. It's just weird. Or maybe they had the other thing, right? Maybe there was another type of machine. Or maybe no, because maybe that was a recent invention. I think the Italians also have the other thingy, but I can't remember the name of it. But it also maybe follows, I think, a similar concept with the filter, but it's metal. But maybe she came first. I think it was Melita that came first. So maybe, they were trying to replicate what she had done. But I think it's just crazy how many previous, again, as a humanity, as a society, for how many years were we drinking that type of coffee? When was it, well, not invented, because technically you can't invent coffee, but, well, maybe you can, right? I don't know. Did you have the coffee bean, but yeah, the drink as in the coffee, I think that was technically an invention, right? Someone had to have thought of, hey, I'm going to grind this, and then we're going to drink this. But I think we were doing this, I think probably at least since the 1700s. I actually have no idea. But yeah, people just were raw dogging coffee for probably hundreds of years before someone came along and guys, we have to do something about this. I promise you there's a better way. Let's use a filter, which I think sounds so, I don't know, logical in this day and age, that it's crazy to think of, they didn't thought of this for years, which, yeah, maybe, of course, you have the benefit of the years, and now for us it's a very logical concept, but yeah, we only think about this in a logical way because someone came along and did this first. And I think that can be applied to basically every single invention on this list, because again, everything was based, or most of these things were based on previous work that other inventors had done, even if it's just, someone worked on this 300 years ago, but still it's going to be helpful, which I think is really good. I think it's really inspiring. Even the Da Vinci thing, all the wings, and also the Wright brothers. I thought the Wright brothers were what I think was about aviation, specifically about airplanes, and not a glider or something. But they're they were feeding into each other, and yeah, your work also feeds on my work and vice versa, which is, I think, we're in exchanging information, and it's only going to make the project better, which again, inspiring. It goes to show that sometimes you have to look backwards, and again, this can be applied applied either in modern inventions. You have to look backwards to actually advance and create something new, which I think is very beautiful because everything is sort of, I carry, this invention carries the weight of so many inventors that came before me, which, I wouldn't be, this thing wouldn't be here without, the help of so many other people that came before. But I love it. And that was it for today. And I'll see you next time. Bye.